Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys had a great weekend. The holidays, obviously, Christmas and everything else. So I hope you guys had a wonderful time during that time. I was off for like basically 2 days, didn't do much of anything, didn't even do comments or anything like that. Started to catch up a little bit on that stuff today. So thank you so much for coming in to watch this video. And in this video, we're going to take a look at, well, we have one story from Bit Digital. We also will take a look at the BTC fees here currently up to the 25 days that we have data for, and what that means for the miners. And then we'll also take a look at the hash rate year over year, along with BTC mined year over year, and then some averages as well. We'll take a look at all that for the miners, see how they kind of stack up a little bit on that part of things. Okay, so it should be a pretty quick video. Shouldn't be too bad. We'll try to get through this as fast as we can. And as always, this is not financial advice for Tim only. Please do your own research and invest in fine coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And if you're interested in becoming a Patreon member, the description is down below. You can log into that. They get all of the data sheets, and we have private Discord channel in there as well. So that's always fun as well. So more than welcome to join. Okay, now getting into Bitcoin. So Bitcoin had a kind of wild day today. It was down quite a bit. Miners, however, on the other opposite side of things, actually went up quite nicely, which was kind of surprising because usually when Bitcoin goes down, the miners also tank really hard. So it seems like we're having a little bit more interest in the miners going forward here, especially as we get close to the halving event, plus the spot Bitcoin ETF. There's some good news on that as well. But all that stuff is obviously contributing to the miners being pumped up more so here, even on red days for Bitcoin, which is kind of surprising. But here's what we had. Bitcoin was down today approximately, well, it closed 2.46% down on the day. It was down more. It was close to 5% being down on the day, but it kind of came back up a little bit, which was good to see. So we closed at 42,515. We are now at 42,437. So we are down a little bit here as well. We were up on Sunday. We were down on Saturday. So, or actually Monday, sorry. Monday we were up. Sunday we were down. Saturday we were down as well. Okay. So we've had a kind of a couple days here where we've been coming down here in price, which still doesn't look too bad. Our side has been looking really good here. The other thing is we may go back down to like the 39,000 market, like I said before, where we had the CME futures for Bitcoin, where we have that gap between 39,000 and 40,500. So we might be trying to get to that, and you can see that here on this chart here. We have this gap right here. Sometimes, I would say, majority of times it gets filled, right? So we'll see if we come back down to that, test that before we possibly go back up, or we may just continue going up because the spot Bitcoin ETF is just throwing a wrench in everything. Okay, but Bitcoin is obviously down today. Miners, for the most part, were unfazed by this. And you can see here by any being up 4.4% on the day. Argo was actually down today 1.15%. Bit Digital was up 7.69%. BitDeer up almost 12% here, 11.94%. Bitfarms up another 8.36%. It's been having a great rally here. Cypher up 23.57%. Another one that's been doing really well here recently. It reached, I think it's pretty close to being at probably a new 52-week high here during the intraday, but it closed at $4.98, which would be below the 52-week high here. But I think the high, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the high gets counted as the intraday high. But that's where it got to. CleanSpark was down just a little bit here today, 1.26%. It was down more than that. It was down like 4% during the day, so it also reversed a little bit towards the end of the day. Cores was up nicely today, 17.58%. So it's at $1.51 right now. It's been doing really good here. So congrats to you guys that have been holding on to it. DigiHost up 15.47%. Really no news there. Surprised that one's kind of hopping up. DMG was up 7.58%. Greenidge up 11%. Hive was just up barely 0.2%. HUD was up 5.26%. Iris Energy was up another 5% as well. Marathon was up just barely 0.94%. Mawson here, 27.71% on the day. Really no news for them. To me, it looks like, again, some of the smaller miners are getting a little bit of a traction here right now as investors are looking for good deals, possibly. But they're not taking into account some of the flaws that might be with the miners, with debt, other things as well. So always be mindful of that. Riot was down 2.42%. Soluna was down 6.54%. Stronghold was up 7.15%. And Wolf was up 3.26% as well. So overall, it was a good day in the miners. So ETFs, if you look at those really quick, that one was up to $4.32, or sorry, 4.32% for WGMI. BitQ was down a little bit, 0.24%. DAP was up 2.11%. And BKCH was up 0.16% on those that we track. Okay, so overall, great day for the miners. So let's get into the news that we do have here, which is going to be really quick here. We only have the one story from Bit Digital. They announced doubling size of fleet, but they didn't really provide any details on it. So here's what we do have from them. It's pretty short and sweet. So Bit Digital is pleased to announce that the company targets doubling its operating fleet and its Bitcoin mining operations to approximately 6 exahash during 2024. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. That's it. That's all you get. So they didn't provide any specifics as far as what they're planning on doing, what they're planning on buying, anything like that, or timeline, just during 2024 sometime. So they could get there in the first half. They could get there in the second half. We just don't know. But we do have at least an update that they're planning to get to 6 exahash sometime in 2024. Okay. All right. Next, let's take a look at really quick. Let's go back to the other sheet here. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin fees here really quick. So when we look at those, we can see that during November, December, we've had obviously some huge days where we've had really good BTC transaction fees, which is going to be helping the miners out tremendously. And here, we'll take a look at the sheet that I have prepared for you guys to see how much of an impact that actually has on the miners and what that means for them, okay? But you can see here that November, we were kind of peaking at around 315 BTC per day on transactions. So if you want to take that divided by 144 transactions per day, block rewards, basically how many you get during the day, that's kind of what you're getting on average. And we'll take a look at those numbers here for December. And then December started out pretty low here, was at 63 or so, right around 95 to 63. And then we definitely skyrocketed here on December 16th at 564 BTC per day here. So in transaction fees, that's definitely a huge amount. So let's take a look at the sheet that what I do have here for them, and we'll get into it here. Okay, so with the BTC fees here is what we're looking at is basically how much more Bitcoin they could possibly have mined from November to December based on what the current transaction fees have been like. And we'll look at the data that I have down below to show you guys how that's progressed over the last 25 days, which is what we have data for. But in the first chart, we're looking at adjusted for average uptime BTC production increase compared to November. So we're looking at the companies, through all these companies, as far as what they have been mining on average here for the last 3 months, uptime wise. So whether it's 90% uptime on average during the month, 94, 80 something, whatever it might be, I'm using that in here as well to kind of get a best guess estimate as far as what they could have increased their production here in December compared to November, if we look at it that way. Okay, so we can see here that Marathon obviously had 456, possibly increased. This is an estimated number, obviously, it could change. Some miners could get also more because like Marathon has a lot of hash rate. They're at 23.1 right now, I believe, exahash. They will obviously have a better chance of getting those block rewards because part of it is also luck a little bit here as far as which miner finds the block hash that they're looking for. And if that works out for them, they could possibly mine more, right? Plus, they're one of the biggest ones here, so they're at 23.1 exahash. That's going to give them obviously more upside also. The other thing to look at here is if they curtailed more last month in November, we have them pretty much running whatever their average would be. That's obviously going to help them out as well going forward. What else can I point out to here? I think that's it here. But so we got Mara being the top one here, Core being the second one with 116 being added to theirs. Then we got, it looks like possibly Hut 8 at 91.7. That's also if they operated pretty efficiently here, right? They merged with USBTC. They have now 7.3 exahash online. Their number as far as November production was, they provided the combined numbers, but I'm wondering how much curtailment was in that from their Hut 8 operations, not so much from USBTC operations. We know Hut 8 has had issues. So that could be contributable to that as well. So we'll have to see if that actually reached that point. Then you would have possibly BitDeer, followed by Bitfarms and CleanSpark in there as well. And then everybody else here is kind of below the 50 mark as far as what could possibly be added into their BTC production from last month. You also have to think that network transaction fee, starting here, network hash rate increased from month to month as well. So that's going to have an impact on it as well. Okay, and this chart here, we're looking at estimated total BTC plus fees. So what they actually could get for the month here. We got Marathon at 1,378. And this is so far for the 25 days. This is not the full month. Okay, this is what they could possibly have right now. Then we got Core here at 899. Riot at 733. CleanSpark at 596. Then we got BitDeer at 425, followed by followed by Hut 8 at 431. Then we would have Bitfarms, Cypher, and Iris Energy in that order. And then everybody else, here's where they are. Okay, but we still have obviously a couple more days We got basically 6 days left in the month before we hit the new year. December finishes out, and we'll see how those go. And then here's their estimated revenue with curtailment. So remember, some companies curtail, some more than others, like Riot curtails quite a bit here. Marathon typically curtails by about a couple of days during the month as well. They have a lot of miners that are based in Texas, so they have to curtail to support the grid there. Then we got other companies that kind of mine generally for the most of the month, pretty much 99.9% uptime, if not 100% uptime, or close to that. I mean, I don't think you can ever reach 100% uptime, but you can get pretty close to that where it's pretty much full month of uptime. But this is just based on this, so as far as what the revenue could be. And we got Marathon coming in at 68.39, but like I said, it depends on the rewards they get. If they get more rewards than others, based on the luck that they have more, well, not based on luck, but based on the fact that they have more machines, higher hash rate, they have the potential to have more Bitcoins being mined and fees being added on top of it. Okay, and then we got Core here at 45.5 million, CleanSpark at 31 million, roughly. And then we got, who else would be on top of that line there? That'll be Riot at 23.98, followed by BitDeer, Bitfarms, Cypher. Well, Hut 8 would be about 20.5 million potentially. So there's how things can stack up potentially for this month. It's going to be a really great month for all these miners, nonetheless. You know, with the transaction fees being added into it, it's definitely going to be a great month for them. And then here's all the data that we're looking at here. So there's a lot of stuff that we're pulling in here. We're using the Bitcoin price average at 42,553. So you guys are aware of that. The 30-day BTC network average hash rate, I have it at 489 exahash right now. So that's kind of what we're using for that data. We're also using their November numbers for BTC production here as well. We're using their November numbers for hash rate as well, right? So if any of these miners installed any hash rate or anything like that, that's going to offset the numbers here as well. Their percentage of network exahash current month. So this is basically what we're looking at as far as what their network share is of the BTC network overall for all these miners. And this goes all the way to Stronghold, TeraWolf down here. I may have to squeeze this in a little bit more. That's because I'm at 150. So let's go to 125. There we go. And then here is where I'm tracking the December numbers for BTC transactions for the day. So we're just basically putting all this data in here. And then we're basically looking at what is their percentage of the network hash rate, how much, what's the likelihood that they got that percent for the day, right? It might be higher some days, might be lower some days. It just all depends on the luck on finding that BTC block, right? That's kind of goes across the board here. So you can see that Marathon some days had like 54, 56 BTC that they mined, 63, 69, 69 here. And 69 was the ones that they mined here so far. We still have a couple of days left in it. And then we tally all this stuff up here, how things look like. And then just to point something out here for you guys, especially for Marathon, Marathon has a wallet that we can track a little bit. And based on that wallet, for the first 25 days, they came in at 1.5 thousand Bitcoin basically mined here so far. My numbers show 1,378, so we're off by about 100 BTC right now. So that's why I'm saying that the luck of getting a block also plays into this as well. And depending when they get the block, whether it's a high block, because the transaction fees are not throughout the day the same, they change, they vary. Some hours are, the BTC fees are higher, some are lower. I'm just going by the average here, so that's obviously having an impact on my numbers here as well. So my numbers could be low a little bit for some of this stuff because we're using the averages. We're not using the actual, each BTC block that was mined by each company because we don't have the addresses for all these. So, but I wanted to see how close my data was compared to what was actually reported on Marathon. The other thing with Marathon and their Mara pool address is, I wonder if they're using also in there the joint ventures potentially that they have in Abu Dhabi. I think Paraguay just started getting started, so there shouldn't be too much in there. But I wonder if that's also being added into there a little bit there. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% certain. So we'll see what they actually report at the end of December to see which numbers came pretty close, whether it was the actual, 1,530, which would, if you use the averages here, get them to about 2,000 BTC for the month. Okay. So we'll see how close they get to that, or will they get closer to what I actually think might be their number here, which would be projected total of 1,709. Okay, so we'll have to look at that at the end of the month, but we'll cover it. And then we're basically just calculating all the numbers here, what the total is so far for the 25 days, average per day, what is that, how much additional Bitcoin fees are being added to it. So you can see here that Marathon per day is getting 12.23 Bitcoins added per day. And I don't know why this one's in negative here. They're getting actually less. That's a little strange. Why is that minus? We're minusing, 2.74 is what Mawson should be getting. And then down here, they're getting 2.34 average per day. 50. Oh, so there actually might be okay. I'll have to look into that, see what's going on with that number, because that should not be negative. Because we're looking at the number here. Oh, I see. That's where why is that one not going all the way down? Okay, well, let's fix that. So here's that. Okay, that's better. That works out better. Did our data change much? No. Everything else stayed the same here. Yep. Okay, so that all worked the same. The only thing that changed here was our totals here. So Boston is fixed now, and then everybody else here should be for the full 31 days here of data. I'm just double checking to make sure, and it is. Okay, so we got that. So Mawson is getting an additional 0.78 BTC per day, and then we're looking at the last 3 months average uptime. What were they running at? Taking the number of days per month they were running, adding it together, and then dividing it by 30 days or 90 days, basically to get the average percentage here. Adjusted for uptime average, so this is what they possibly could be getting, right, based on those numbers. BTC mined difference from last month, so we're looking at what did they mine last month, which is pulling in data from up here. Then we're just bringing it down here and then subtracting it. Estimated revenue with curtailment. So this is what they could possibly get with curtailment over here. You can see the numbers across the board. Then you got downtime. What is the cost on downtime? So if they did curtail, like this one, Argo is usually up running on average about 80% over the last 3 months. If they curtailed, this is what it would cost them. So hopefully they get that in credits, right? If they don't get that in credits, then it doesn't really help them out there. They're actually losing money on it. Okay, and without curtailment is what we're kind of combining the two numbers here, which that would be 8.72 million. And based on my numbers here, looks like Marathon might be at 72 million. We got who's next? Core is going to be at 47. Clean Spark at 31. Riot is going to be down to 38, right? Riot, you would have downtime cost of $14.5 million if they curtailed like they normally do, which I have them running at 62% of the time, right? 0.62, 62%. And that's what we have them here for, okay? So you can look at all the data here on this. Pause it right now and just kind of take a look at how things are stacking up on this. And then I will be adding more charts to it as we go on. Just because I've been updating this today, I didn't have time to add the charts, but I'll get more charts updated up there so it kind of makes it a little bit easier to see visually on that, okay? So overall, like I said, the BTC fees are a huge impact on it. And the reason I'm tracking it here now is because in the past, they weren't that big of an issue. They were getting a little bit of fees, but it wasn't messing with my numbers like it is right now. So in order for me to run some numbers going forward, I want to track the monthly transaction fees and see how they, pretty much go from month to month to month to month to then maybe do some averages on it so I can at least get pretty close to what those might have an impact on with future hash rates and things like that. Okay. So that's it. Let me know what you guys think of that. And let's take a look at the hash rate here for over the last 12 months. So where were they 12 months ago? Where are they now? How are they doing? And here's what we have, and we have some caveats with this as well. So 12-month percentage hash rate growth. Obviously, the miners that had small hash rate went up to 1 exahash from 100 petahash or to 1.2 exahash are going to have a lot higher percentage growth than somebody that went from 13 exahash to 19 exahash, right? It's going to be, even though they installed 6 times more hash rate, you know what I mean though. Okay, so here's how kind of things were planned out here. Argo was up 11.98% on the year over year. BitDigital was up 63%. Bitdeer was one that came public this year, so they don't have data for last year. That's why they're basically at zero here. Cypher, same thing. Bitfarmers was up 45% in hash rate from last year. Currently in November, CleanSpark was up 83%. Core was actually down. They actually had more hash rate last year than they do right now. DigiHost was up 68%, DMG up 43%, Hive up 66%, Hut 8, 129%, mainly because of the merger with USBTC on that one. Okay, Iris was up 294%, Marathon 231%, Mawson was up 36%, Riot 61%, Sphere, this is the example that I gave. Basically, they were at 100% at 100 petahash, and they went to 1.2 exahash in the last year. So they get 1,200% increase in that. Stronghold 33%, TerraWolf up 284%. Okay, year over year BTC mined here. we can see where were they last year and what was that increase or decrease. So Argo was down 53 BTC year over year from last year for what they mined. BitDigital was down 1, BitDeer up 403 Bitcoin, and the reason for that is for BitDeer, again, we don't have the data for it. So they were basically at 0 last year compared to where they are now. Bitfarms was down 61, Cypher was up 337. They were also one of the ones that we just added this year as well, so I don't have data going back to then. CleanSpark up 131, Core down 402. They peaked around 17 exahash last year, and then through this year they were kind of going down to about 15 or something like that. And that's the reason why they're down to they're 402 Bitcoin less. Okay, DigiHost up 16, DMG down 23, Hive up 12, Hut 8 up 152. And again, this would be I think the only reason that is up is because they actually merged with USBTC. If it wasn't for that, they would probably be on the negative side of things because their performance over the last year was pretty bad. Iris Energy up 218, Marathon up 679. Remember last year they were at 700 petahash in June, July. Actually, it was July, August, I think, when they had the problems with the facility. And then they finally started executing on their growth plan and they grew quite nicely. And this is the result of it from then. So Mawson up 98, Riot up 31, Sphere up 61, Stronghold up 193, TerraWolf 189 there. Okay, 12-month hash rate difference. So where was the hash rate? What was the difference between the hash rate from last November to this November? Argo increased by 299 petahash. BitDigital increased by 873. BitDeer 7.2 exahash. That's incorrect. They had 0 that I was reporting on last year. They didn't become public until this year. Bitfarms up 2 exahash. Cypher up 6.2. Same thing with them. I didn't have data for them last year, so that's why they're up that much. CleanSpark 4.5 exahash. Cores down 190 petahash. DigiHost up 445 petahash. DMG up 364 petahash. Hive up 1.6, almost 1.7 exahash. Hut 8 up 4.1, and that's mainly because of the USBTC merger there. Iris Energy up 4.2. Marathon up 16.2. Like I said, they had a pretty bad year last year through pretty much September of last year, and then they finally got things rolling in their favor. So huge increase for them, 16.2, biggest guy here as far as increases. Mawson up 398 petahash, Riot 4.7 exahash, Sphere 1.2 exahash, Stronghold 1 exahash, TerraWolf 3.7 exahash roughly, okay? And then when we look at their 12-month average BTC per exahash efficiency, we're using the average of Bitcoin that were mined for the 12 months along with the average hash rate for those months to calculate this. The important part of this metric is to kind of see how efficient are the miners, right? The more efficient the miner is, the better it is because it will lead to the miners getting paid off a lot faster than somebody who's less efficient, unless they're getting power credits for it, and they better be getting the difference of the power credits for what they could have been mining for Bitcoin, right? But here's the way the things stack up. So the top one here looks like Hive right now, 86.39. They've been pretty much the most efficient miners that we've tracked here. Cypher is coming up at number 2 spot with 86.2. And the only reason I could think of why that one is because we don't really have data for them. If we look at Cypher here, from last year, we don't have any numbers for them as far as hash rate. So that's taken into account there that they had pretty good solid growth, but quick growth as well to get to 6.2. And they stayed there for a couple months, so that's going to benefit them. And when we look at the actual numbers here, we were using estimated numbers from their production updates as well, okay, on here. So I do have data for it, but I believe it was just estimated based on what they provided in their IPO. Was it IPO or was it even I can't remember if it was an IPO or if it was a SPAC merger on this one. So that's the reason for that. Okay, let's go back here. So they came in pretty high here as well, followed by Bitfarms. Bitfarms at 80.65, so that's really good there. And then probably Iris is actually above them at 81.03, followed by, let me see here, BitDigital 79.85. Then we would have, we got DigiHost at 80.35. I really should do this in order on those. So maybe I'll do that going forward. But you can see how everybody stacks up here, right? The worst one here last year was Hut 8, 51.64. Followed by Riot at 54.15 based on that number there. And then followed by Argo at 56.63. And then Stronghold as well, 62.24. Okay, so that's kind of how the hash rate has stacked up over the last year on all of these guys. But that's what we get. That's what we got. We've gotten a lot of growth from a lot of these miners. We've also gotten efficiency gains and things like that. So it's always good. And then we'll obviously see how things progress going forward. It's definitely gonna be fun. We got a couple more days here left in the year. We'll see where Bitcoin goes going forward through the next couple of days, obviously. Hopefully it doesn't go down too far. Like I said, I wouldn't mind it if it went down to like 39,000 mark, basically wiped out that gap on the CME futures. That would be good. And then we could possibly go back up. And then we do have possibly that spot Bitcoin ETF happening in January, which might propel us, or it might be one of those buy the rumor, sell the news events. We'll have to see how that plays out. Okay. But that is it. Let me know what you guys thought of all this as well. And then the spreadsheets are available to my Patreon members. As always, thank you to everyone there. That membership is only $5 a month right now. If you pay yearly, you get 10% discount on that as well. So join in on that. And we have a private Discord server as well for that. But that is it. So a couple more days in this year, and we're done with it. Wow. It's been a fun year, but we'll leave it at that. I hope you guys have a great night, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Until then.